pen review. I could do another pen review. I could do it for you. Pen review. I could do another pen review. I could do it for you. Hey, hello, my name's Peter. I am interested in being friends with you. But before we get into that, pretty much what the whole video is going to be about is us looking at this new pen I got. It is a Kaweco or Kaweco maybe, not sure how to say it. And this was sent to me by Gold Spot Pens. A nice, I was about to say a tin. There's some sort of metal tin that it came in, which looks nice, feels nice. And this is not an average fountain pen. In fact, you might not call it a fountain pen at all, because it's actually a dip pen, as far as I can tell. Oh. Right here we have a nice little Kaweco sticker. I'll probably put that on my water bottle. Nice. Effectively sticker bombed. Anyways, back to the pen. Here it is. This is called the Kaweco Special. So here's a little cap that goes in there. I guess we'll get to that later, but the cap doesn't seem to work that well. And there's a nice little case that it comes in. I'm going to see if there's anything under here, just for the sake of thoroughness. And there's nothing under there. But if there were any hidden items, little bits of lore or anything, I'm sure that's where it would have been. Alright, so these two pieces are completely made of metal. This is like a little tail that goes on the back end, I think, to make it seem more like a classical dip pen shape or something. Ooh. It's kind of an awful sound. There you go. I don't think you're supposed to like fill this up with anything. Like, I'm not sure why that comes on and off. Maybe just so it gets smaller and it's easier to ship. But I don't know. There it is. And as you can see here, it came with one nib. I think I have a few more nibs left over somewhere. Hello, leftover nibs, where are you? Well, for some other dip pen I reviewed, I think it was the Zebra something or other, I got a bunch of nibs, but we'll just review this nib, and actually, I also got another nib. This thing. Look at this. We'll also see how this nib works. Maybe the funkiest, weirdest looking nib I've ever seen. I got this at a weird little like used art store. The art store isn't used, but the supplies therein are used. So I'm not entirely sure what this thing is for, but it's built like a flat, what are those things called? The flat bladed shovels, you know what I'm talking about? Maybe for shoveling gravel off the road or whatever, but it's pretty crazy looking. All right, so next thing we need, of course, is ink. I have this red Waterman ink here that I have not opened yet. You know, I use a lot of black ink, and so it's nice to mix it up every once in a while. Let's go with red for once. Oh, vibrant. Okay, we're going to take this. First we'll try out this nib. Seems a little bit flexible, which I guess is the point of a dip pen. Now this can come in and out, right? If you want to replace it. I don't know where all my other nibs are. But as you can see, this says Leonard 30 England, if that means anything to you. Obviously I'm not a super aficionado of dip pens because I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm guessing it's some sort of pen nib. I'm going to dip. Nice. Oh, it's really flowing. Is this one of those things I was supposed to burn or wash first? Every time I complain about a pen nib, someone says, Peter, you should have burned it or washed it, or there's something about oils on it that they put on there to preserve it. Should I burn it? Should I wash it? Those seem like two very different things, but I can see how both of them would get rid of oils on the nib. Obviously, I will go with the more exciting option. How do I know if it's too much? Do you think that's good? Can I do it too much? As I wait for it to cool down, I will tell you that the pen itself feels good in my hand. I wouldn't touch the tip right now. It'll probably burn yourself. Maybe a good way to get a brand if you really want that, if you're into that sort of thing. I don't know if it's still hot. I feel like my lips are chapped. Is that what just happens in the winter? All right, it's cool to the touch now. Let us once again attempt to dip and write. I don't know what I'm writing. All right, I mean, it's doing better. This one, a lot of these fountain pens and dip pens that I use, like it feels okay to push up. You know, obviously these work best when you like drag down, right? And pull down with them. But this one is like so sharp. I feel like it's digging into the paper when I push up. I don't really know if I'm supposed to be doing that. Maybe I'm supposed to, everything I do is supposed to be comprised of downstrokes. It feels very scratchy, if you're into that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, it's just a sensation I'm experiencing. It could be the paper too, though. All right, here's a different kind of paper. I mean, it definitely does seem to be working better after putting it to the flame. But it doesn't hold a lot of ink. Like, how often are you supposed to be dipping this? Like, I can write like 2.5 letters before I have to dip again. Am I flexing it too much? I'm not sure. If I don't flex it as much, they can draw more lines before I have to refill it. Is there something obvious I'm doing wrong here? It's just annoying to not be able to write like a full sentence, not even like 5 words, right? Maybe I am supposed to be putting ink inside of the body of it. Also, it's very really the only satisfying strokes to make with this are the up and down ones. I mean, the top to bottom ones. The sideways ones are really overly scratchy and seem to dig into the paper. Same with the bottom to top. And you can't flex it at all that way. If you try to flex it and move upwards, of course it digs in, which may be the intended way to use it, right? I don't know. I'm no calligraphist. Maybe this is intended, this pen could be intended for someone entirely different than me, like a casual, just person who likes to write with pens. This could be for, you know, like calligraphy enthusiasts who know the right way to treat a pen, which I've seen time and time again that I don't necessarily know how to treat some pens, but it's interesting, all right. I'm trying to remember how this stacks up to the other dip pen I used, the Zebra, whatever it was called. I can't remember. Anyways, let's try this other. Let's try this nib. Oh, I thought for a second maybe it wouldn't even fit in the ink bottle. All right, I'm gonna put this in here. I think it fits. It's a little tight. Okay. I'm dipping it all the way in there. There's now a bloody spade. That's a lot of ink. A whole lot. It's very satisfying though. If you want to use a lot of ink very quickly, maybe this is like the fountain pen equivalent of like a Magnum Sharpie, you know, if you just want to do a huge area all at once. Definitely holds more ink than the other one. Extremely satisfactory. Maybe I should draw with this today instead of the other nib. It's still reviewing this pen, right? It's just this pen with a cool nib. And maybe we can use up a whole bottle of ink. I do have a big piece of paper we can use. I think we'll do that. It's very wet. Somehow I've gotten none of it on my hands so far, but I shouldn't speak too soon. I just jinxed myself. Because that's a thing. We all know it. How's this look? Oh yeah, that's a nice big hunk of pulp. All right, so I'm going to use this ink and this pen, and I'll I'll draw on it. So eventually I got down to work with this. Well, I looked it up. I did a little bit more research, and this is actually called a steel brush made by Speedball, which is a popular producer of pen nibs, pen holders, pen sets, calligraphy fountain pens, etc. And basically the idea behind them is that you can do all sorts of different calligraphy, and with these bigger ones, these things they call steel brushes, that you can do, like, I guess, make big signs, do like lettering for signs and stuff. This one that says 3/4, I think that's the inch. That's the size in inches, right? It's 3/4 of an inch, and it goes down to like 1/2 an inch, and maybe like a couple 1/8 of an inch, and 1/4 of an inch if you want different sizes. But I think I have the biggest one here that I found at the used art supply store. And of course I was silly. It did originally come in a sealed box. So it wasn't even a used art supply. It was a completely brand new art supply that I guess someone had just left there. And I don't know why it's called a used... actually, I think it's called a used art supply store. The place is called Shelf Life. And I think that's how they advertise themselves. But most of the stuff I got from there, in fact, the piece of paper that I drew on here today, I also got from there. Also... did not seem pre-used, which I mean I guess is good. I don't really want a pre-used piece of paper, but yeah. So it's called a steel brush by Speedball. If you want to look up more about this crazy, weird-looking nib, and yes, it can hold a lot of ink. I did 2 drawings here with it. The first one was fun and satisfying, but I didn't really like how it turned out. Right, looking at it didn't really excite me. The results weren't as fun. So after that one, that was kind of the first one was kind of like a reconnaissance mission. Be kind of feeling it out a little more, see how the nib works. Okay, and then after that, I felt more comfortable with going in and doing another drawing, in which I was a little more free and more comfortable with it. And I did like a lot more shorter, reckless strokes. I wasn't as comfortable with it, and was a lot happier with how it turned out. The red was very dramatic. This Waterman ink red, very striking and sharp and bloody. And I did get some of it on my hands finally, which is weird. People aren't used to seeing people walking around with like a bunch of red all over your hands. Although I think if it had been real blood, that sort of thing turns. When it dries, it becomes a darker red. It doesn't always stay that bright. I don't know. I'm not a blood scientist. A hematologist? Is that what those are called? Anyways, as far as this pen review goes, I like the Kaweco Special. I think that's what this pen is called. As far as a pen holder, is that what it's called? Like, it feels good. It feels solid. It's all metal. I'm not sure what the little screwing and unscrewing of the back part does, but I like how it's slightly angled. It's like a hexagon or something, right? So it doesn't roll around too much. I'm not as enthusiastic about the nib it comes with, but like I mentioned before, one of the great and wonderful things about dip pens is that you can buy so many different types of nibs and just keep switching them out as long as you get like the right size. And there's like a pretty standardized system for that, I think. So it's no problem. You just get a nib holder you like, and then get whatever nibs you like, and you're good to go. And hopefully it'll all get sorted as far as how much, maybe the amount I had to dip with that nib was totally normal and I just wasn't used to it. I'm not sure. Or maybe other nibs do better. I know there are nibs I've used in past videos that have like little pieces of metal on top of the nib to help hold more ink, and I'm not sure. It's all right. Sometimes it's kind of therapeutic to have to go back and keep dipping. So it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, I mean, I'd recommend it. Let me look how much this was. Okay, these are $50 on the Gold Spot website. That's who sent this to me. And it says, the description says something about how these transcend time and are just as attractive today as they were when they were first created years ago. And now, I don't know how many years ago that was, but at least more than 2, I suppose. It says each pen is made of high quality aluminum. All right, there you have it. It says the raw aluminum surface is designed to be soft so that as your pen commingles with your keys and other items, it acquires a worn look unique to you. Now, I do like that idea because I have kept a couple of my, like I have like a lead holder that I've been keeping in my pocket, I'm carrying with me, and it's becoming worn and more personalized, right? And it's meaning, it really does mean more to me because of that. But this pen, I'm not sure about being a dip pen because the cap that it came with doesn't really fit on there that well. And I guess you don't have to keep the back pointy end on there because it would make it kind of long. I just don't know about putting this in your pocket. That's all. I'm a little skeptical about that. This seems to me more like a leave it home on your writing desk sort of pen. But other than that, I like it. There's a time and place, right? This just doesn't seem like a pocket pen. But maybe other people can figure out things for their pockets that I can't. Anyways, can you guys tell I'm a little stuffed up right now? Ugh. I sneezed about 14,000 times yesterday, so if you have any like vitamin C vibes you can send me, just kind of wiggle your fingers in my general direction, send those vitamin C vibes. Thank you. And all right, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. All right, goodbye.